Bizarre Brain Comics. Well, hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. And this is a book that I briefly showed in my live stream a couple weeks ago, featuring war comics. And I'm going to do a sequel on that because I only got through the stack of DC comics. I still got a bunch more. And but this one is Men of War, number 7 from 1978. How come when I do this, people like to try to call me, especially the scammers? This is written by Roger McKenzie, who I know better from years later, his long run writing some Superman comics, and it's with art by Dick Ayers and Romeo Tangle. All right, as Dick Ayers, I've talked about Dick Ayers so many times with it, doing. Remember, he for quite a while after Kirby left Sergeant Fury at Marvel, he did Sergeant Fury for quite a while. He did other stuff. The hero at DC. He's back to doing war comics. Of course, he's done a lot of stuff, superheroes and the like. But his best work was always in the war comics and the westerns, and especially like his work in the westerns. And here he is doing that again. And we've got this great action-packed, dramatic cover drawing by Joe Kubert. And Kubert did a lot of war comics along this line with against impossible odds, standing up. You know, like in this case, he's done others like this too. A lone man up against a strafing aircraft. In this case, it's a Stuka dive bomber, and I'll talk a little bit about that in just a little bit. We're going to take a look, but first I wanted to tell you about this because this is Gravedigger's first full-length novel. Well, it's I presume the character was introduced in this title, and possibly another one, previous one, as was just one of the characters or one of the stories in there. But this is a full-length story covering the entire issue, and this is Gravedigger. And Gravedigger is Ulysses Hazard. He is a polio victim who overcame the crippling disease to become a large, powerful man with incredible strength and stamina, and enlisted in the army during World War II. But then, being a black soldier in the then segregated military, I hope it doesn't come to do that again, he was assigned to a unit as a gravedigger, which was common. It's just and a waste of good talent. That's why some of the few black combat units, such as the Red Tails, were just outstanding in their fight against the Axis powers, the Nazis, and the Japanese and the Italians. And after petitioning the Pentagon, he became a special commando to utilize his special talents, and then used the code name Gravedigger from his previous job title. And he operated in the European and African theater of war. Now, from what I understand, I haven't read the story or anything. From what I understand, the way he petitioned the Pentagon is he basically broke in to the Pentagon, got past all the high security, got in to any of the generals and said, see what a black man can do? Now use me against the enemy. And they did. So this is great. He's and I have never been terribly familiar with Gravedigger. I didn't get this, or this was at a time period when I wasn't able to keep up with my comic buying and stuff in the 70s and early 80s, right at the time when the war comics were fizzling out too. Because that's when I was in the Navy, so I didn't get the opportunity to get nearly as much then. But this is a really cool story. Let's get these toy soldiers out of the way. Is Gravedigger, and this is the deadly danger of a milk run. This takes place in France, and he's being ferried to the English Channel for his next assignment. That's Gravedigger is in this Jeep with this driver whose name is Boston. When they are suddenly they're on the road, got quite a ways to go, and they are attacked from the air by a Stuka dive bomber. Presumably, he's already dropped his bomb somewhere. I don't know why he's all by his lonesome. He comes through and he's on a strafing run, brap, brap, and Gravedigger starts shooting back, brap. But their Jeep is hit, and they jump for for safety, and then comes back for another run. And Gravedigger, he's right there, swings around and just peppers the aircraft as it flies overhead. Not quite as dramatic as on the cover, and takes out that Stuka till it can crash. Now, this is great drama for the story, but this is using a Thompson submachine gun against a Stuka. It was virtually impossible, and of course the plane isn't flying very high, but it was virtually impossible for a man on the ground with that kind of gun to shoot down the aircraft. This is because, first of all, the Thompson submachine gun was intended as an anti-personnel weapon, right? Shoots 45 caliber rounds at a relatively low muzzle velocity, low penetrating power that could not have penetrated the armor. It would take an astronomically lucky shot to either hit the pilot or some other vital thing like an oil line to take the plane down. Could not have penetrated the armor, and plus that gun is magazine fed with a total of 20 to 30 rounds, which he would have expended in just a few seconds, maybe 5 to 8 seconds, so maybe even quicker than that. But it's cool for the story. Then, okay, so boom, it crashes down, and almost impossible job to do that. Anyway, so then Gravedigger passes out from, and then we get a flashback to his earlier life while he is unconscious, to when he was long before the war. He was still just a youngster, and he was crippled from polio. And some people on the street are harassing and assaulting him, making fun of him for probably both being black and a cripple. But he gets him, drags himself up. He's only slightly injured, and he goes to help the driver, Boston. And they start walking, hoping that there's no other Stuka close by. And they get to a bombed out village, and there is a sniper there, starts taking pot shots at him. Boom, boom, boom. So he gets down, gives Boston. Never shows him, of course, or mentions him having to reload, because remember, he's only got 20 to 30 rounds in that magazine, so he must have several other rounds with him. I'm sure he probably does. Magazines with him. Gives that to gun to Boston to give for him to cover him as he takes off across there. But turns out Boston, he's like tears in his eyes and sweat, and he can't pull the trigger. And as a result, Gravedigger nearly buys it. He gets a deflected shot from round deflects off his helmet and knocks him down. Here's a little sidebar I'm not even going to mention because it has nothing to do with the story in this issue. And so he's knocked down. You can see the hole, the damage in his helmet. So he gets back. He sneaks around, gets to the sneaks up to the sniper's nest, and then dodges the bullets and takes him out with his knife. And then he gets back down there and sees Boston kind of curled up in tears, cowering, and Gravedigger thinks he's just a coward. And this is when he gives his backstory, and his backstory is basically the same as Batman's origin story. When he was a kid and his family was being mugged, and his mother and father were killed, and he has PTSD, and he can't, and the sounds of the gunfire is basically crippling to him. He can't. There's nothing he can do. Then a German staff car comes riding through, and Gravedigger gets in there, takes care of the ratsies there, and then they they have wheels again. They keep heading on. It's trying to get him to field hospital because Boston is injured. Then boom! Uh-oh, what's happened? Their car was blown up, and they were almost blown up with it, and it was a Panzer. Clank, 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 clank. And Gravedigger, he gets in position. The Panzer rolls over him. I mean, the Panzer is what knocked their car out, and tosses a grenade into the tread, and kablooey, puts that thing out of commission. And he picks up Boston and carries him while the tank is still firing on the hospital, the field hospital down there, and there's very little he can do. He's out of grenades, so he rushes down there to the hospital and says, "You guys got to get out of here. You're under fire." Says, "I can't leave. I'm right in the middle of surgery, and this soldier will die if I leave." "Oh, okay." So he rushes out there. He gets Boston to get all the walking wounded out. Says, "Get as many people out of here as you can." Then he grabs up his Tommy gun and makes a frontal assault on that tank, but it definitely can't penetrate that armor. Just as he puts it through one of the observation windows, he's out of ammo. Well, then he turns around and he sees it's Boston and the walking wounded, all armed, making a run. Rushing the tank, and he tosses Gravedigger a grenade, who then tosses it into the turret. Kablooey! Completely taking out the tank and its crew. But Boston is a little incapacitated. Gravedigger's a little incapacitated himself. So then here is a week later, and he is bandaged up, walking into a hospital, and to talk to Boston, whose actual job is a clerk, not normally a driver. And he says, "I owe you an apology. I'm good. I got to go take off. Good to know you." And says, "You saved a hell of a lot of lives the other day, including mine, Boston. I ain't much good at saying I'm sorry, but," says, "forget it, Hazard. I can't hear a word you're saying." Said, "The explosion rendered me temporarily deaf, and I couldn't hear anything. That's how I was able to rally the guys and make that assault." But it says, "Well, I got to shove off now." Says, "I'm not a clerk, Hazard. I'm a soldier at last. I think my folks would. I'm a soldier at last. I think my folks would have been proud." "What? You mean you heard every word I said? Well, little SOB. And then he laughs at him because he had pretending that he was still deaf, but he had regained his hearing. And that is it. And those are the kind of good stories, really good war stories that we got from DC. Because I think DC was premier in the war comics. And as much as I like some of the Marvel war comics as well, DC was just head and shoulders above the rest. So that's a really fun book, and I was glad to share it with you. So I want to thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe, leave your comments down below, and hope you don't have not put in this situation with a handheld Thompson submachine gun against an attacking Stuka, because you're going to die. So leave your comments down below, and remember, comics are art.